Hi everyone, Landry Ethredge here, interviewing Dr. Etta Gant on her recent article about all about intrusive thoughts and how to be the boss, how to take control of intrusive thoughts. So glad to be talking about this topic because I think it is so very common. And I know
Mhm.
OCD and intrusive thoughts are kind of connected or can be. So whether or not you might have a diagnosis of OCD, you may be experiencing the intrusive thoughts. So can you tell us a little bit about what is an intrusive thought for those of us who
Mhm.
maybe haven't experienced it or don't know the language about around that?
Yeah. So an intrusive thought is, I mean, it's kind of like how it sounds, but it's an unwanted, disturbing, or unsettling thought. What's really important is that it's unwanted and it causes discomfort. Um, it feels like very out of character or out of alignment to who you are or like what you want in life, or it just feels very, it's like causes immediate fear.
Mm,
Um, And so intrusive thoughts are a part of OCD. It's the first part of OCD that leads to the obsession or like the obsessive tendencies. But intrusive thoughts can exist on their own without being a part of OCD. There might not be compulsions that follow them. They might not be persistent or consistent over time.
mm,
So anyone can experience intrusive thoughts. So those are the thoughts that come in and just like take you aback and you can't stop thinking about it and you can't get rid of them and they feel like really disturbing. So it could be worrying, is my dog gonna die? Did I leave the stove on? Am I going to hell? I'm going to fail. Do I have cancer? Am I going to die? What if I accidentally hurt myself? What if I am pregnant? What if I got COVID and I'm going to kill my grandma? What if I accidentally got an STD and I don't know? What if I accidentally had sex and I didn't know and I got an STD and then I spread it? What if the test results were wrong? A lot of times, one intrusive thought kind of will follow the other. It's like it might start with one what if, and then it's like, well, then what if, 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 and it just becomes like a very obsessive cycle. But the first step is that first thought that kind of makes you jump and feels very disturbing and unsettling. It can also be like images of that disturbing thing, or even like the urge. You might not be suicidal at all, but for some reason there was like an intrusive urge to cut yourself or hurt yourself or something like that. It doesn't mean you're going to or that you want to, but kind of once that thought has become scary, then the body almost like acts it out in a way.
mm-hmm. I've heard it described as like your brain gets locked. I've heard it OCD is described as brain lock before, and it's sort of, and I've let clients know this in the past that just because you have this thought doesn't actually mean anything about you. In fact, intrusive thoughts are actually usually the opposite value to the one you actually hold. Um,
Totally.
So maybe it's, I'm afraid I'm going to hurt my daughter. Well, your daughter's the love of your life, right? It isn't by definition, it's something that you wouldn't do or you would never want or you have no desire to do. That's the whole reason it's an intrusive thought is because it's opposite to your values. It's not actually saying anything about you. It's just a thought. It's just a pattern in your brain shooting out a thought. It doesn't actually mean anything about who you are as a person. um, and that's why it's so jarring, is
Totally.
it's just
That,
opposite.
that yeah, that connection that you just described is huge. And like getting that understanding and getting that explained to someone experiencing the intrusive thought can help a lot because without any sort of acceptance that this is an intrusive thought, um, or being able to recognize it as that at all, it just feels debilitating, consuming, and overwhelming. And so, kind of one of the first things you can do to kind of get a hold of the intrusive thoughts and help them be manageable and not let them control you is to just recognize this is an intrusive thought.
Just to label it as
Yes,
this is an
this
intrusive, identify this is an
this
intrusive.
is not who I am. Or it doesn't have to be that. If you can just say this is an intrusive thought, kind of let it sit there and not feel the need to try to immediately make it go away. That's the best way to not let it consume you and take over. And also to start working on sitting with that some of that discomfort if you do also experience the compulsive piece, to check it or to try to make it go away. So being able to just accept it for what it is and knowing that it's not you, or that we might not always have the answers. That's hard. That's a hard one. That's a hard skill to master, but that helps tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Are there any, so let's say somebody's reading this, your most recent article about intrusive thoughts, and they're reading through the list and they're realizing, oh, I have a few of these. Maybe these are intrusive thoughts. Maybe I'm not just a bad person. Maybe this is something that I've been struggling with for a while. Do you have any practical steps that people can take
Mm-hmm.
to help mitigate it?
Yeah. So, being able to express your intrusive thoughts, so getting them out of your head,
Mhm.
helps to reduce their power significantly because that's typically an internalizing experience. Especially like the more obsessive it gets, the more you're kind of internalizing and spiraling inward. So, if you're able to write it out, that's huge. And when you can see it on paper, you can kind of maybe be like, okay, wait, this is not real. It's not going to happen. It helps to reduce the power.
Mhm.
Um, or sharing it with someone that you trust, sharing what your intrusive thoughts are, um, can help tremendously. It helps to reduce some of that shame, isolation, fear, helps you feel a little bit more empowered and in control. And let's see. So, yeah, getting it out like that is really important. Like what we were just saying about like accepting it, recognizing it as an intrusive thought or a junk thought. Your foot might be on the brake and someone's walking in front of your car, and your brain is just constantly working out logistics. That's what it's made to do. It's scanning for safety, it's exploring options, it's putting two and two together. And your brain knows if you lifted your foot up, your car would move and it would hit somebody. That doesn't mean that you're going to. Your brain's just sorting out information all the time. It's just constantly scanning. And sometimes that shows up as kind of weird thoughts. But then when it scares us, and we internalize it, then the thoughts come up more because the neural pathways have now been like activated by this fear response.
Ah.
So these thoughts, they build on each other once they become more and more scary to us. So being able to share it again helps to reduce that fear and that shame and that isolation. Um, and then practicing groundedness and mindfulness when our body gets into that fear response. So once you start kind of obsessing, sometimes it turns into a little bit of disassociation. You're just like becoming more and more ungrounded from the present moment. So doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise, naming 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. That's a great way to get you back into your body, and out of that spiraling, as well as
Reality of your physical body. Yeah.
yeah. And then noticing where your body might constrict or react when the intrusive thought hits. So it might be like a tightness in your stomach. You stop breathing into your belly, or it could be like a clenching of the shoulders, or it could be like a constriction in the chest. Recognizing those things and practicing some deep breathing in through your nose, holding it into those spots and out through your mouth can also, again, help to unwind the nervous system. That's going to be a lot more helpful than trying to logically find your way out of it, because you'll always come up with another what if. What you have to focus on is safety, groundedness, and like just getting more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I had a bit of OCD as a kid, and I'm thinking back to, oh man, if somebody could have helped me just identify that I didn't know. I had no idea these thoughts were intrusive thoughts or that it wasn't reality. If somebody could have kind of guided me through that and helped me kind of ground and separate myself from those thoughts, oh, how wonderful that would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could have really used a therapist like you when I was
Mm-hmm.
man, thank you so much. I would really encourage anybody who's listening to go to this most recent article on intrusive thoughts and read through. She's given maybe 20, 30 examples of different types of intrusive thoughts. Some of them may be something you wouldn't really have recognized as an intrusive thought, or some of them may be really familiar to you. And it might just feel validating to recognize that this that this is what it is, and put some language to it, and reading the 5 steps to kind of mastering or becoming the boss of your intrusive thoughts. So practical, so helpful. So really encourage you to go take a look at that. If you're in South Carolina and you want to get a therapist to help you work through OCD or intrusive thoughts, or just to see, if you're not sure you're having intrusive thoughts and you just want to kind of talk about it, that is a great option. So head over to the website, LandryEthridge.com, and schedule a consultation with a licensed therapist there, and we can get you set up with therapy if you're here in South Carolina. So again, thank you, Etta, so much. And I look forward to talking to you soon.